presentation is about eclipses and the Saros cycles around the world. I'm going to explain also the mechanics and show some examples. We have a lot of slides to go through, so I'll try to be as fast as I can. Hopefully I can make a very dynamic presentation. So first, basically, a definition of what are the eclipses. I'm hoping that everyone is already familiar with these mechanics. The eclipses, they occur when the sun transiting the lunar nodes coincides with the new or the full moons. Solar eclipses occur when the new moon is near the nodes. So from Earth, during the day, you see the moon conjunct the sun right in front of the solar disk. That happens on a very narrow and specific path on Earth, and that's why the solar eclipses are rarely visible, because you need to be under the path of totality to be able to see it total. If you're in the proximity, you may see it partially. And the lunar eclipses, they occur when the full moon is near the nodes, but because it happens in the sky, the shadow of the Earth is reflecting on the full moon. If you are at night anywhere on Earth, you're going to be able to see the eclipse. So they are less rare for you to witness a lunar eclipse. There are different types of solar eclipses. The partial solar eclipse is when the lunar disk only covers parts of the sun. The total lunar solar eclipse is when the lunar disk completely covers the sun, and the annular solar eclipse is when the moon is far away. It's in its apogee, so we can see the ring of the light around the sun's disk. And for the lunar eclipse, we have the penumbral, when it only goes through this area where we're not going to see a whole shadow of Earth, so that you're going to see very little. It's barely visible, actually. The partial solar lunar eclipse is when it goes, just portion of the moon goes in the umbra, and the total lunar eclipse is the blood total eclipse of the moon. But because the moon has an inclination in relationship with the ecliptic, not every new moon or full moon is going to be an eclipse. Let's first define what are the lunar nodes. They are also known as the dragon's head or tail. The lunar nodes are the intersection point between the moon's path and the ecliptic, the sun's apparent path from Earth. And because the moon has this inclination of about 5 degrees, not all full or new moons are eclipses. Every month, the moon makes its way through the zodiac in this moon's path. And it forms new or full moons, but actually when the sun is close to the nodes, either the north node or the south node, is when the full moon or the new moon are going to appear as an eclipse. So also notice that the point of intersection is not the maximum declination, either northern or southern, but yes, the point of transition, the point of intersection. So when it crosses the south node, it starts going even more south, descend, and when it crosses the north node, it starts to ascend. when here at the maximum elongation is when it's going to appear to reach its highest point in the sky. Okay. And hopefully you guys already are familiar with this type of conception. What's the behavior of the lunar nodes? Well, the lunar nodes, they take approximately 18.6 years around the zodiac. They go in retrograde motion, and they stay approximately 1 year and a half in each sign. So what does that mean? It means that all of the eclipses during this 1.5 years are going to happen in the same opposite signs. Twice a year, the lunar nodes, they station for 2 to 3 months. You can check out your ephemeris to see that. And when they station is when the eclipses occur. Okay. And what is exactly that happens when we have the eclipses? Okay, for example, we see here that in 2019, the eclipses happened here in Capricorn, then it went a little bit back to Leo, but in their retrograde motion, they keep going and they do Cancer, then Capricorn, then Capricorn, then Cancer. And then they transition, the nodes start transition backwards to the Sagittarius Gemini axis, but they still keep going with the eclipse at 0 degrees of Cancer here, for example, then Capricorn, and then they start transitioning to Gemini and Sagittarius, and keep going, Gemini, Sagittarius, then a little bit to Taurus, and come back to Sagittarius. And now we are having all of the eclipses in the same axis of Taurus and Scorpio. So that's very interesting. So keep in mind that every 1.5 years, all of the eclipses are going to happen in this axis. So what are the effects of an eclipse? Well, it seems that we skip one. Oh, here. The eclipses, they usually represent changes traditionally associated with beginnings and endings. The events that occur a week before or a week after the eclipses are always significant, so pay attention to the events occurring close to the eclipses, and they have unexpected results. The eclipses are like cosmic agents of reversal. They bring the unexpected, usually forces out of control. It's that point of no return when changes are inevitable. Things need to be implemented. And the eclipse degree, keep that in mind too, that the eclipse degree becomes sensitive, and it transits over the eclipse should be noted, especially the malefics, either by conjunction, square, or opposition. And also pay attention to the next new moon that squares the nodes, because it usually coincides with events that are related to the eclipses, many times the culmination of what was triggered during that time.